Having now looked at the stories of my childhood, I also want to look at the stories that I want to tell. After all, it would be very one-dimensional to be all consumer and none creative. At this stage in my life, I'm experiencing a paradigm shift in my own creative maturity. In a short space of time, I've been exposed to so many new life experiences, and as a result, the types of stories I want to tell are undergoing rapid transformation. One of the most immediate factors to this is the new phase of filmmaking and storytelling education that I've just entered into. In my uni film course, we're held to an incredibly high standard both by the lecturers and each other. There's an emphasis on thinking critically about filmmaking practice and the world around us. We are pushed to never settle for the first idea that comes to mind, and to be able to back up everything we do with a strong reasoning. This is an extraordinarily refreshing and stimulating approach, which I've found has been lacking in a lot of the short courses in film that I've done in recent years. It is quite scary and daunting to suddenly feel the presence of this challenging high standard, but I know for sure that it's exactly what I need to keep pushing myself further. And so while I feel the uni experience is a healthy way for me to develop my creative maturity, I'm also aware of other factors which are not quite so healthy. Welcome to the wonderful world of online screenwriting education. Quick disclaimer, this is a lot of opinions and this is just my experience. A huge part of making more mature films is in the development of longer, more thematically deep screenplays. There appears to be this community across YouTube and other platforms of people who, somewhat pretentiously, deconstruct and teach screenwriting technique. The first thing you were taught about writing for film, both by these self-named screenwriting gurus and by the considerably more credible lecturers at uni, is the idea of the 3-act story structure and the key story beats that make this effective. This usually follows the rough pattern of the inciting incident, the midpoint, the climax, and the resolution. Tutors are always quick to mention that this is not a formula for a good film, but a well-established pattern in order to tell certain kinds of stories effectively. Screenwriting videos online are formed on the basis of these tips and tricks, and I for one quite enjoy this structural approach to screenwriting, and frequently map my own stories against this progression of beats. However, I think these lists and lists of screenwriting hacks create a problem. The culture that beginner screenwriters enter online, myself included, is promoting structural perfection in screenwriting, where all boxes of story arc, character beats are ticked. There is also this huge emphasis on quantifying your screenplay page count. You are told to bash out your 10 pages a day, or lauded for hitting that 90-page feature film milestone. Now, having the discipline to push through a script like that is most certainly admirable, but this kind of culture forces people to be constantly measuring themselves against each other. I've not found this level of competitiveness in any other area of filmmaking. I myself have fallen into this trap of constant pressure to better my screenwriting technique. It's led to me feeling very discouraged and unconfident about my own writing ability. I've got caught up in craft over content. I feel much more comfortable conveying my ideas through the visual medium of the film itself than the script on paper. I think this is such an interesting change in perspective on one's own creative maturity. It was fun to write as a child. I cranked out so many little short books and short films. The lack of any external pressure meant I enjoyed every single one. Screenwriting now is certainly more creatively fulfilling, but I'd be hesitant to use the word fun. There is a point where you realise that a childlike, intuitive way of storytelling must yield to rules and structures. Perhaps this kind of atmosphere around screenwriting does kill some of that childhood intuition. As we know, plenty of people have made it in the film industry without formal film or screenwriting education. It was simply their practice that taught themselves the skills and techniques.